Jameson tackles the postmodern condition in a radically different way from Lyotard. Lyotard wrote the postmodern condition as a report on knowledge, but Jameson approaches it as a particular cultural analysis. He looks at a variety of factors such as art, architecture, film, and much more, to try to understand our current historical situation. First of all, he challenges any notion of the postmodern society as a break from previous forms of society. Instead, he argues that it is a continuation of capitalism, a purer form of capitalism where even culture itself has become a commodity. This new era of capitalist commodification is accompanied by a flatness or depthlessness of all things. Jameson illustrates this point by comparing Andy Warhol's diamond dust shoes and Vincent van Gogh's pair of boots. He goes through a series of interpretations of the latter painting, imagining peasants working hard in the field among the fruit trees, breaking their backs trying to make a living from agriculture in a poor rural village. But when it comes to Warhol's diamond dust shoes, Jameson writes that they are nothing but a collection of dead objects. They tell no story beyond their surface appearance. He points out that they represent the commodity fetishism so prevalent in our time, but without any critical element to them. To the extent it can be considered critical, its criticism is itself a commodity. Based on this, Jameson doubts whether art even can assume a critical role in postmodern society, believing instead that art is doomed to commodified superficiality. He continues his examination of Warhol's work by looking at the famous pictures of Marilyn Monroe, commenting on how stars become commodified and transformed into their own images. Jameson goes on to characterize the excessive commodification of every aspect of our culture as pastiche, a word that means parody without irony or humor. Good examples of pastiche today might be Marvel's Thor: Love and Thunder or the series She-Hulk. She-Hulk being the most easily illustrated example. The show could have been a critical parody of certain aspects of modern feminism, but it lacks the necessary irony to be even remotely critical or funny. As such, it comes off as being in bad taste, devoid of any humor whatsoever. In a word, it comes off as pastiche. This describes the state in which Jameson sees all of culture, and, according to him, it comes from how, in late capitalism, reproduction is far more dominant than production. This means that there is very little innovation in our current time. Rather, there are reproductions infected with a pernicious sameness. Superhero movies are, again, good examples. Rather than being original and innovative, each superhero movie feels almost identical to the next. This is why filmmakers like Martin Scorsese critiques them, and he is right in his critique. In addition, Jameson addresses the particular nature of politics in our postmodern society, observing that overtly political ideas like universal healthcare become a source of cultural conflict, whereas overtly cultural issues become sources of political dispute. Furthermore, Jameson argues that in the commodification process of postmodernism, the past is utilized as a commodity feature. Think of Stranger Things or a number of other shows who utilize the 80s aesthetic to invoke a sense of nostalgia. However, the references to the past do not need to be true or accurate. It only needs to be allusions to an often idealized but sometimes unspecified past. Take for example the slogan, "Make America Great Again." Exactly when America was supposed to have been great is never specified by the people that use this slogan. Instead, the past is used as a glossy image, an idealized, unspecified point in history. Jameson calls this historicism, which seemed to mean using history as a feature of the present, in contrast with history, which places our present moment in the wider context of the past. He believes that we have to return to the meta-narrative of Marxism to regain history in our political struggle. This is particularly important to Jameson in context of how he believes our subjectivity have been impacted by postmodernity. To Jameson, late capitalism has fragmented and divided us into different aspects of our postmodern lives. When we are in school, we are students. When we are working, we are workers. In our leisure time, we are consumers. The two former have existed at least since the Industrial Revolution, the difference being that when you returned from work, you regained your sense of self as a human being. But today we perform the social role of the consumer, even when we are alone. There is no space for you to just be yourself. You are always already something else. Jameson believes that if we rally around Marxism, we can retake and reunify our subjectivity. This puts him in direct conflict with Lyotard, who remains skeptical to grand narratives, and even writes that a self doesn't amount to much, commenting on how we are already fragmented from the moment we are born, by the social roles that are projected onto us without our consent. This is just one of the several conflicts between the two readings of postmodernity, but for now, we'll move on to the third and final reading of the postmodern condition.